Show you what went down at these congressional hearings.
At the subcommittee level, I think some of my colleagues on the other side were a little bit bothered by some of the punny jokes that we had in my remarks, so I made sure to add more. There's nothing quite like a shower act in December. Let it flow, let it flow. Some of our colleagues may want to freeze debate on this bill, but today we're actually going to talk about common sense.
One more clip right here of Congressmember Fry, where he goes, your hair and your shampoo shouldn't require a 4-year evacuation plan. This is what we need to be focused on here.
Your hair and your shampoo shouldn't require a 4-year evacuation plan. I urge my colleagues to support this straightforward bill. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. We appreciate We applaud you showering us with your wisdom. We appreciate it very much.
You know, when I'm watching that, I'm thinking like, are you doing a Billy Madison routine? Oh, shampoo is better. No, I like conditioner. What are these MAGA Republicans doing? So let me show you what the Democrats do. So then AOC has her turn next to speak. And here's what she says. She goes,
Congressional Republicans were caught off guard as Democrats successfully hijacked hearings, initially intended to focus on trivial issues like showerheads and water pressure, steering the conversation back to core concerns of affordability and economic pain for the American people. The clip highlighted MAGA Republican Congressman Fry making light of water pressure issues, which Democrats quickly labeled a distraction from urgent crises. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez argued that deregulating showerheads would actually drive up water bills and worsen affordability, challenging the notion that the issue was merely a dribbly shower and not poor water pressure management. She drew a parallel to healthcare deregulation, warning against sacrificing consumer protection in the name of personal choice. Congressman Rob Menendez dad directly challenged his Republican colleagues, asking how many town halls they had hosted where constituents actually brought up showerheads as a pressing issue. He asserted that Americans are overwhelmingly worried about healthcare costs, rent, and the inability to buy a home. Menendez also used an Economic Policy Institute report to point out the hypocrisy of Republicans, including the bill's sponsor, voting against key Biden administration bills infrastructure era chips that were actually fueling an economic boom in states like South Carolina. The Democrats' counteroffensive also addressed the GOP's push for a constitutional balanced budget amendment. Congressman Jamie Raskin exposed this as a political stunt, noting that Republicans currently control all branches of government and could simply enact fiscal discipline if they genuinely wanted to, as President Clinton did with a Republican-controlled Congress in the 1990s. Congresswoman Kamlir Dove quantified the GOP's fiscal recklessness, noting the national debt is now over $38 trillion, largely driven by Republican tax cuts. Finally, Congressman Jim McGovern criticized Speaker Mike Johnson for complaining about his workload, another crisis at 11:30 at night, while failing to use his power to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, calling him a weak speaker and Donald Trump's lapdog. The narrative concluded that the MAGA Republicans' focus on issues like showerheads was a deliberate strategy to gaslight the American people and avoid discussing real economic issues which are unfavorable to their political.
Play this clip.
When the administration's not here, you guys speak to the power and all of the above strategy on energy production. When you have the opportunity to press them on why they're canceling offshore wind, why they're rolling back investments in renewable energy that create greater energy production, you have nothing to say. Even our colleague from Texas was critical of, quote, cutting off energy options. But that's exactly what the Trump administration's doing. So where is the criticism of the Trump administration when they are taking us in the wrong direction, limiting options that states like Rhode Island, New Jersey, North Carolina want to have? You guys are all silent then. We know that we need more energy production, but we need to press the administration to stop picking winners and losers like you suggest that they do. And an important reminder from my colleague from Texas was talking about New York and California and all these woke states. Texas must be the most woke state because 30% of their energy production comes from renewable energy. So why won't we want that across the country? It's just ridiculous. But I'm glad they're finally saying the right things. I hope they say it when the administration's here, and I hope they push back on all the harm that this administration is doing, not just when it's convenient. And then with that, I yield back.
And then Democratic Congressmember Menendez clip.
Thank you, Chairman. You know, when I'm back home, the issues that people want to talk about are the healthcare crisis, the $1 trillion in cuts that Republicans supported to Medicaid, the largest cut to SNAP in the program's history. People are devastated by Trump's immigration enforcement, tearing families apart, apprehending U.S. citizens, and all of the harm that this president is causing. So I would just ask, and I'm curious if the sponsor of the bill from South Carolina would be willing to answer how many in-person town halls he's hosted this year. I asked the question. I would yield my time if he wants to answer the question. How many in-person town halls you've hosted this year? Because my point is that how responsive we are to the issues of our constituents. And what we seem to agree on is there's an affordability crisis. And I've not had one person in my district come to me in the town halls I've had both in person, virtually, and say showerheads are the pressing issue that they have. So that's what I'm hearing. And so I was just curious if the sponsor wanted to volunteer, and I'll yield my time, how many in-person town halls he's had, because there seems to be a disconnect from what we're hearing from our constituents who we engage with directly versus what you may be hearing. But if you choose not to, that's fine.
He was on fire, right?